Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. This is your host, Daniel Moeller. I want to take a look today at Tony Fero's ULF MAVERICK. Tony Fero, his imprint is Rubber Wolf Comics. I know Tony Fero from the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats community, which is the best independent comics community in the world. A lot of great works being produced by cartoonists in this community individually as well as collectively as a group. It's very supportive, a great way to network and to get inspiration from some of the more amazing people in the industry, I think. So who needs those big two in industry pros? We have the Cartoonist Kayfabe ringside seats. So Tony Fero, found him through that group. I actually have a contribution in a future book called Weapon X, which will be out soon by 100% Comics. That is a tribute to Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X run, featuring the origin of Wolverine. So I have some contributions in that, and I believe Tony Fero does as well. So we've actually contributed to a similar project together. Love his stuff. So I want to take a look at ULF MAVERICK, which I just recently received in the mail. Great book of his. From the outset, I want to say that this book is an homage to the black and white independent comics boom of the 80s, which everyone on this channel should know is near and dear to my own heart. Specifically in the outlaw comics paradigm. So Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg from the Cartoonist Kayfabe YouTube channel, which obviously is a big inspiration for me, coined the term outlaw comics to denote that strain of black and white independent books from the 80s that were very violent, very uh, gritty, grim, and had these tones of revenge and gore throughout. Very exploitive. Definitely not for children. I will say this is definitely a video that is for mature readers. Please do not let your children watch this. You have to understand the kind of tone of these sorts of works. If you look back at like Charles Bronson movies like Death Wish, or Clint Eastwood movies from like Dirty Harry from like the 70s and 80s, that's sort of the kind of like uber ridiculous meta kind of narrative that we're going with here. So, of course, Rubber Wolf Comics is an homage to Silverwolf, which produced a lot of these types of black and white books in the 80s. It's a comics imprint that's very, again, near and dear to my heart, that I absolutely love, and I'll even be doing some videos of some Silverwolf comics in the near future. So immediately this caught my eye on Tony Fero's website, and is my introduction to his work. So I want to say also, this cover is incredible. I love the way Tony Fero contrasts the colors and his palettes so wonderfully, that everything just pops, everything's dynamic, it's simple but yet magnificent at the same time. And come on, who doesn't love this logo? I certainly do. So, alright, cover your kids' eyes because we're getting into it. So, of course, it's a black and white comic, and as is typical of most of those black and white books from the 80s, is that there's an introductory letter. And so Tony Fero does not disappoint. Basically, the concept of ULF MAVERICK came from a dream. He had a wild, crazy dream, woke up in the middle of the night, didn't have any pencils or paper handy, so he opened up his phone, opened up the first image that he could, and started writing random words on the image. Apparently, he took a picture of Mountain Dew earlier in the day to help him remember the dream. And then the next day, started drawing out sketches and ideas and developing a narrative from it. So, hey, all you psychonauts out there, always have paper, pen, and pencil handy next to your bedside, because as we all know, the dream space is the number one source of inspiration. So learn the lesson that Tony Fero had to learn the hard way. But anyway, we still got an amazing work. So from the outset, the main character has no name. He's actually refers to himself even as nobody because he's calling himself a nobody. He's kind of grilling himself in the mirror. Apparently, he just came from some sort of really militant style weight loss program. He used to be fat and went through some kind of weird weight loss boot camp where he's basically beefed out into some kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger type male specimen, and wasn't about self confidence at all. It was apparently this program was still about self loathing and tearing yourself down, which was kind of the source of inspiration for the ability to beef yourself up, I guess. Anyway, his neighbor, who he apparently has a crush on, lives across the hallway and comes in. They apparently have some sort of an open relationship. She's sad and upset, is kind of down on herself as well. Makes some kind of comment about maybe not ever being beautiful again. And he, of course, is not very intelligent and says, well, hey, you're pretty enough to be a stripper or a porn star. Of course, that is not ever anything you want to say to anyone. So she storms out because he was a moron, slams the door, and of course, he gets even worse in his self loathing and his deep despair and tries to make amends, but she's not having it. Her roommate tells him to go away. He uses this as an opportunity to start beefing himself up even more because, of course, he uses that self-loathing as a driver for his energy, which apparently was part of the program. So working out, he evidently gets enough confidence to then storm across the hallway, burst in because he's just trying to make an apology. So of course he's just bursting in abusively. And her roommate is there and says, "Hey, she's not here." And based upon what you said, she actually went to go become a stripper. So she apparently went down the street to work at a strip bar that is run by a gang called the Pigs. So this is evidently all he needed to find his calling within that space of despair and self-loathing. Gets out some liquid latex, makes himself a mask, and he becomes ULF Maverick. And he's going to go rescue his girl. So I want to take a breather here to just point out how much I love Tony Fero's ink work. I think that he is using a brush by hand and then maybe doing the gray tones with some kind of screen or duotone on the computer, is what I imagine. I need to talk to him sometime soon to kind of find out what his process is. But I love how much you can just almost feel the page, the ink on the page, with the way how dynamic his line work is. I love it. Even the panels where people are just sitting and talking, there's so much mood and character involved. The shading, I love it. Love it. Can't give it high enough praise. So ULF Maverick, with his mask on, goes down to the strip bar. Nice moody cityscape here, with a trench coat on and a hat because why not look even scarier than you while also having this like creepy ass mask on. Goes to get his girl, doesn't even say anything, just goes and grabs her. She's like, what the fuck? Of course it causes a scene. He tries to pull her away. The gangs are immediately after him. Love just the splash of the inkwork. And then from here, just all sorts of violence ensues. And it's awesome action. There's a lot of homage to like biker gang type imagery from the 70s, which is really cool. And there's also kind of an homage to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Psycho movie, which I found interesting as well. So just a whole hodgepodge of craziness. They are the biker gang are kind of deformed and look like pigs almost, or even Swamp Thing a little bit, so which is interesting. So it doesn't end great. if you closed your eyes for a split seconds there or blinked, maybe you missed it all. I will say that it doesn't end wonderful for our main character, and we wouldn't want it to, right? Because we don't want ULF Maverick to be happy. We want him to be a vehicle for vengeance. So the final panel here, we see the new updated version of ULF Maverick ready to take on the evil of the city. Just love this. This is like, it's like Casey Jones or something from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but way more violent and dangerous. Got all the spikes and pouches, everything that anybody who's a fan of Outlaw Comics needs. Love it. Want more of it. Please, Tony Fero, make some more. Got some cool ads here. I love the way Tony Fero does his layouts and the ads that he puts in his books. But the great surprise that of ULF Maverick, of not only it just being a great book, but I didn't know, is that it's a flip comic. So we have a comic on the other side. I love flip books. They're a lot of fun. They were a big staple of comics back in the day. Randy Tucker Bomb Dude. This kind of took me at first like, okay, a little silly, but I'm liking it. I mean, who wouldn't appreciate the title Randy Tucker Bomb Dude? And look at this guy. He's amazing. So from the outset, every time I turn the page of this little mini comic in the back, Tony Fero just like grabbed onto my heart more and more and more. I swear to God, I had a Trapper Keeper, or at least Trapper Keeper folders with this style of print on this. And at first, that very first panel, we are introduced to the setting of an arcade. So this is where Randy Tucker Bomb Dude starts. Of course, an arcade. Love the design work on the arcade here. I love the coloring and the design of the background, the way everything pops. And so we get our mini splash here of a Randy Tucker Bomb Dude, freaking cutoff shorts, a cutoff shirt, Van Halen. I mean, look at these glasses and the little mini half mustache, the like not fully grown mustache with the mullet, wristbands, headband. I knew like 20 guys like this growing up in a small town in the Ozarks, at least. So yeah, 100% Tony Fero. So innocent civilian comes in while Randy Tucker is playing an arcade game. He says there are rogues attacking the local Stop and Go, which is apparently like a little gas station. We used to have Get and Goes in Springfield. I don't know if anybody else had Get and Goes, but that's what we had, were Get and Goes. So Randy Tucker goes, and apparently the rogues are like demon-type monsters. Nobody seems to really talk about that they're actually weird demons. They just call them rogues. So Randy Tucker goes on the attack with a pair of nunchucks and butterfly knives. And Tony Fero gives us the pricing, the catalog pricing. So if anybody wanted to do mail order catalog, only $9.95 for a pair of deluxe nunchucks. That's freaking awesome. And Randy Tucker wins the day. Again, amazing choreography and fight scenes. I loved the composition of these, or the contrast of the coloring on these. It just makes everything pop so dynamically. Randy Tucker wins it, and I was disappointed actually, because it was such a small comic, and I went on Tony Fero's website, and this is the only Randy Tucker I saw there, and I need more. Tony Fero, please give me more Randy Tucker Bomb Dude and more ULF Maverick. This would make me happy. Just keep them flipbook style, please, even if Randy Tucker is just 6 pages in the back of ULF Maverick, as is. These works are amazing. So go out there, rubberwolf.bigcartel.com. You can purchase Tony Fero stuff there. He's got many other books, including art books, like this Horror Monsters, which was just an amazing piece of work. I actually keep this by my drawing table. It's again, the coloring, the brush work, a lot of look and feel of like the classic Universal Monsters type stuff. A lot of rock posters, rock album art, sort of stylized designs. Just amazing work. Can't can't speak highly enough of Tony Fero. So go out there, buy his stuff, and hopefully we'll see more ULF Maverick and Randy Tucker Bomb Dude in the future. That's all for today. Thank you very much. And you can find my work at danielmoller.web.com. And keep it psycho, folks.